Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's vlog. It was a rainy day. Yesterday was a rainy day. Tomorrow's gonna be a rainy day. Very rainy, but that's normal for Maine. So, this is the big rock we got out of the pond. Pressure washed it today. Right here is my small Japanese maple tree I planted last year. It's about 5 feet tall or so. It's starting to grow leaves. The hosta plant is starting to grow leaves. This is cat mint. If you live in a city and have neighbor cats, they'll come over here to eat it. I've even seen YouTube videos of bobcats and things come over and nibble on that stuff. Big, it's like a catnip plant. But it's a perennial and it has beautiful flowers. This is a plant, it's awesome for pollinators. It has non-stop flowers throughout the whole summer and they get huge. This plant will be all the way around. You see how big the dead scar is? And I planted it last year, so it'll be even bigger. It's like a bush. It doesn't spread. I've had these things for years. Not on this property, but before. Right here, the scar at the pond from the little drainage ditch or the overflow starting to heal. It's been 2 weeks. The grass is starting to grow around it. The grass is greening up really good. No more frost. Probably won't have another frost. It's been raining a lot. But the grass has yet to have that growth spurt where you have to mow it. Over here, the end of the pond drain, more hosta plants. Comes right into here. That's a piece of train rail. It's amazing it's still got some galvanization on it. I found that with my dad over 10 years ago. We found that in a dumpster at the train yard. It wasn't even in a scrap dumpster. Imagine that versus the garbage truck compactor. I'm sure it wouldn't break it. I'm sure it would just stop, but still. Look at this. A little sinkhole has opened up. Can you see depth? Yeah, the overflow of the pond now is flooding a mole's tunnel every time it turns on. I have it set 3 days. The sprinkler timer turns on and adds a little fresh water to the pond. One thing that's really cool is we look down in here. You see all that blackness down there? Oh, it's not. It's just rotten wood. I thought that was tadpoles, actually. No. Sometimes they cluster together, but you see there's a lot of tadpoles right there. They're already starting to get pretty big. See them all along the sides. Look at that, all along the sides of the pond. Hundreds and hundreds of them. So, the tadpoles, see the big filter down there? They are small enough to fit through that, but I put an additional screen inside if you saw that video. People said I should put a net around the whole thing. Good idea. I'm going to do that, I think, at some point, because they can still get sucked in there. I opened it to see how many are actually dumb enough to follow the current into it. Very few. It's amazing how few actually went into that thing. But there's a lot of them in here. See what you're seeing down here? That's the egg sacs, the egg shell, if you even want to call it that. It's like a jelly. They eat that as babies, I guess. That's what they're I got to be eating something. I'm sure they'll nibble all the moss that's sitting in the water as they get bigger. And we're going to try feeding them for the first time tomorrow in the sun. Some goldfish flakes when they get bigger. We'll start feeding them vegetables. They love watermelon when they get a little bigger. We look over here on the little hill I built. Look at that. Hostas are coming up everywhere. Look at that. All around it, even behind the waterfall there, if you can see. These ones I must have planted a little deeper. See, they're just starting to poke up. But that was a big hosta plant right here. See that circle I patched? And I just broke it up so it will start growing around the fountain. I got a lot of comments saying, it's going to die. It was literally right here, and it flourished. I just moved it over here. A lot of people think hostas only grow in the shade. They love shade. They're shade tolerant, but they also get really huge in the sun. In my experience, the ones that are more yellow, if you want to call it albino, or the yellow pigmented ones, those are sensitive to sun, but these are the big green ones. I have also a bunch of green ones with white stripes. Those do awesome too. I just showed them at the beginning of the video. Those ones do good. But one thing I did learn, I have the small solar panel runs a small pump out of this frog's mouth. That will run on cloudy days and far into the evening because the solar panel to the tiny pump, which is right here, the ratio is just so big that even on cloudy days, the solar panel does an awesome job. On cloudy days, the big pump with that panel just does not work. It has to have direct sunlight for that thing to turn on. Once it turns on, it does a pretty awesome job. Oh, look at this. Oh, wait, we got to turn this into turbo mode, the big flashlight. Here we go. Boom. It's actually powerful enough to turn the little frog fountain on. See that? Boom. And it shut off. Pretty cool. Flashlight's powerful enough to do that. I made a video where I was putting this UV resistant tape over some panels. These ones are all glass panels. They don't require that. But if you have the cheaper plastic ones, even the dollar store ones are glass. I don't know why anyone makes solar panels out of plastic. But the plastic ones fade in the sun, become less effective. UV resistant 3M tape, I proven, prevents that. A lot of people in the comments said, if it's UV resistant, how does it work? How does it even charge? Well, it doesn't affect it one bit. Turns out the solar panel is actually absorbing the light, not the radiation of the sun. Well, that's what a lot of comments told me. Look at this guy. It's our first frog resident at the pond. I didn't put this guy here. It's been raining. This guy just found the pond. He's natural, and I'm going to leave him here. This one's looking kind of fat. Maybe it's eating some tadpoles. Maybe it's full of eggs. Maybe it's a she. Maybe we'll get some frog eggs from the green frog. I love green frogs. I wish we had more of those. All these tadpoles are wood frogs. They're like a toad. They're going to leave once they turn into a frog, probably around July. In my experience, these green frogs and bullfrogs, they lay their eggs later in the year. So those tadpoles usually have to go through a winter, then they turn into a frog next spring. So they're going to be like a fish in the winter. This pond might be deep enough to support over the winter. Maybe. I'm not sure. We will see. Also, this moss, what do you think? These logs I found in the woods are very rotten. Will they absorb like a sponge? That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping this moss continues to grow. This frog was actually out on the little island earlier. You see the cattails starting to grow. The cattails up back here are also starting to grow. That'll take over very fast. This pond, I'm not going to mow the grass probably about a foot around the entire thing. The grass will grow really tall, creating shelter for the small frog army. Also, you don't want to hit the frogs because they'll all be sitting around the edge. Most of them will move when they feel the vibration of the mower, but some might not. So we're doing very good today here in the frog pond. See the hose is draped in there. That's in case I'm not home. Turns on every 3 days for an hour just to give them a little bit of fresh water. Once the tadpoles get bigger, they'll start polluting more. I'll probably switch this thing to maybe 3 hours every 3 days to do a bigger percentage water change. People asked me, can I have a frog pond at my house in the city if I have chlorinated city water? Yes, you can. Fill up the pond. Within a day or so, all the chlorine will evaporate out of the water without a problem. Then it's okay to do like 10-20% water changes at a time. Flush it a little bit. It's not that big of a shock to the animals. Or if you're really worried about it, fill up a bunch of 5-gallon buckets. Let them sit out all day. Then dump those things in there. You can do that. Remember when I was a kid, goldfish bowl. Goldfish bowls I personally think now are cruel as an adult, but kid doesn't know that. We would fill up a bunch of gallon jugs of tap water with the cover off, allowing them to evaporate all the chlorine overnight before doing stuff with the goldfish, cleaning out the bowl the following day. Just got to let it sit out. Big aquariums, though, it's okay to do partial water changes, especially with filters, air stones, anything moving the water around. Friction will help evaporate it even faster, too. So we're doing good out here at the frog pond. Not sure if there's anything else I wanted to say, but we're going to go to the other frog ponds and have a look. This is my vlog channel. I make vlogs about things. If anyone doesn't like hearing long, boring videos of me talking, well, that's what this channel's for. I don't put these on my main channel. This is just a talking channel, showing more boring things I don't think are good enough. So in here, I took people's advice. I put a bunch of the rocks in here for cover. Frogs, the tadpoles at least can hide underneath in between them and stuff. Let's see if we can get these fountains. Oh, that one already turned on with my flashlight. Let me fix the flashlight. Boom. Boom. Oh, that one turned on. All right. In here, what do we got? Looking around. Where are the tadpoles? This one here, even though I put cover, where are they? Oh, that's a water beetle. Oh, multiple water beetles. Do water beetles eat tadpoles? Is that why there's so many water beetles this year? Or did they just reproduce because I had a couple last year? What do you guys think? Are these creatures, is that alive? No. Maybe. I've seen weird stick-looking insects underwater before. I don't know what they are. See the goldfish flakes? Nothing's eating. So, are they hiding? Something may have picked them off. This one I noticed something picks them off because it's the black ponds work better because predators can't see as much. This one here has a lot of plant cover. Like you see in here, look at all of the tadpoles. Nothing picked them off, at least in small numbers, if any. There'll be lots of cattails growing in here soon. Hopefully this year we'll actually get a few cattails. They didn't see all these eggs. The sacks are almost completely empty. That now becomes food for the tadpoles. See, they're doing very well in this pond. Lots of them. But this one, something ate them all. I don't think it's the water beetles, because why didn't the water beetles go over here? I think some bird probably sat here and picked them all off. One of those birds with the long beak it just pecks out of shallow water. And see the trees are all starting to grow little leaves now. It's finally spring. Yeah, we could have another frost. Last year we had a frost May 26th. That's why our growing season doesn't technically start until June, but I think it's safe this year. There's a couple trees before they fully grow leaves I actually want to transplant. I found a cherry blossom tree in my woods today, about 5 feet tall. Must have come from a seed. I have a few cherry blossom trees in the yard. They're mostly becoming sick. They're still full bloom every year, but they're rotting, the trunks, and eventually a storm's going to take them out. So I'm going to start planting some more of them as backups, because I every now and then find one growing in the woods, and I like to move them. I love tamarack trees. The only pine tree that loses its needles in the fall, and look, it's growing them all back now. Those needles will become very... probably only 1/6 of them have grown. These trees grow fast. This tamarack tree here is over 12 feet tall. I planted it and it was only maybe 2 feet tall 3 years ago. Grow fast, good for privacy. And they turn bright yellow in the fall. Underneath it, we got some hostas starting to come up. Right here, these are peonies. Beautiful flowers, kind of looks like roses. Beautiful flowers. Those will probably bloom in July. These are some of my big cherry blossom trees. They should be blooming in the next couple of weeks, but their trunks are kind of rotten. And they're very heavy trees, very dense hardwood. This is a baby cherry blossom tree I planted. What do you guys think in the comments? I think they're connected underground. I could try to separate them. Should I let them grow as a double tree? Or should I kill off the crooked one? What do you think? Just leave it? That's what I'm probably going to do. Hopefully, them being kind of crooked away from each other won't weaken them too much. Hopefully not. But I transplanted this double one. I think they're connected underground. That's probably why I planted it that way. And in the background of the yard, you have a whole bunch of, what do you call those? I was just talking about it the other day. They're all over the place. What do we call these? That's just slipping. I know what they're called, but is daffodil the right word? I think it is. Here's a white pine tree I planted. It's doing very well. Here's the small frog pond. Ooh, this guy's friendly. This one lets me pet him and pick him up sometimes. Hopefully he's in the right mood. This is a friendly one. It's either a big green frog or is it a bullfrog? This is a very friendly one. It's used to me picking it up and petting it. It was very afraid of me at first, but he's not afraid of me anymore. It's a very friendly frog. I'll try to become friends with the other one at that first pond. In here, we have a lot of tadpoles. The salamander egg sacs have not hatched yet, but lots and lots of tadpoles. The filter here, that moss will start taking off. Have the hose out here also set to a timer to give them fresh water every now and then. There's enough grass around the edge draping in. This doesn't come on full blast. It's the smallest trickle, so tadpoles don't get out of it. Yeah. My flashlight's making that fountain want to turn on. All right, let's go check out the big pond for a moment. All right, here we are at the big pond. So, this one's been doing good with its air stone, solar fountains. Oh, there's a frog. Oh, there's fish. Those are a possibility of one of two fish. I forget the names of them, but I caught one the other day. Here's a close-up view of them. No matter which... Oh, is that stick-looking creature again? Or it's just the fish moving around? I'm actually getting good shots of them right now. Someone said creek chub, I think. But there's a frog anyways. No matter what they are, they only get like... They're a very communal fish, so they follow each other around in like little schools. It's kind of cool. I'm going to leave them for now. Have a little ecosystem. Remember, tadpoles, only 10% of them will get the chance to become a frog. Only 1% of them will get the chance to reproduce. They're a prey animal. Everything wants to eat them. At least if something eats them, it's better than them drying up and dying in a drainage ditch like all of these would have. There's a pretty big fish right there. See it? It's in that crack between the rocks. The bigger ones are like half a foot. That's about as big as they get. But they reproduce in small ponds. It's been raining a lot, so look at all that water that's coming out of my basement. Yeah, that's why I built this pond in the first place. While the guy with the excavator was out here digging this off of my hill, I asked him how much to just make a gigantic pit at the end of it. So I was hoping the water table was going to be high enough to fill this. Oh, there's the big fish. There's the big fish. Can we zoom in on him? Here's the big one. He's hiding again. It's okay if they eat some of the tadpoles. There's thousands of them in here. Those are salamander eggs right there. It's good to have a little ecosystem. You gotta respect all the animals, not just have an overpopulation of the frogs. That fish is hiding in like a little cave right there. I don't think it moved. Now the water's becoming a little cloudy. It's becoming a little bit algae-ish, algae bloom, which I actually like when the pond's a little bit green. It hides the ugly liner. I made the pond a little bit too steep. That was my problem when I built it. This year I might have an order of gravel delivered. I want to pour a few wheelbarrows of gravel down inside this thing. Once the tadpoles are big enough to be able to logically move out of the way as I'm shoveling gravel down in there. That's to prevent the liner from rising, because I'm worried it'll misshapen it if it rises and falls too much with the water table, because nothing heavy's down there. Fish still in there? No, he probably left. Salamanders aren't around. They're usually out on these rainy nights. I guess they mated and laid all their eggs and they're probably done for the year. You don't see salamanders any other time of the year. You only see them on the first couple rainy nights every year. And look how many tadpoles actually there are. Look how many hatched. There's thousands of them. See, if we look down, thousands and thousands of tadpoles all over the place. Now over here, the ones that are white are dead, but there's also a bunch of living ones mixed in with this. Something will eat the dead eggs or whatever eventually anyways, but the ones that are dead were on the top when we took them out of the drainage ditch. Some of these, I think some of these were actually laid here in the pond. Any of them that were near the surface during a deep freeze died, basically. Look at all of them all. And just look at the amount of algae and slime. We don't have to feed them, actually, for a while. There's so much natural food in the pond. More fish. It's cool to have fish. Come out here, middle of the day, throw a random piece of food in here. Something will immediately snap at it. It's cool, have some native fish. I wouldn't intentionally put a bigger fish in here, though. Someone told me that this pond is deep enough that I could probably get away with a pair of something like bluegill, but that thing it just gets too big. There's never mosquito problems on my property because everything in here would eat it. The tadpoles, the fish, the frog, everything wants to eat it. The water skimmers, everything wants to eat the mosquito larvae. So ponds like this, we don't put anything in there. I bought mosquito dunks, which is a biological thing. You put it in bird baths, any water you have sitting in your yard, and it's only supposed to affect mosquitoes. It's a biological thing. I don't know if it's a parasite or just fungus that grows on them in some weird way, but it's something biological. I wonder, though, it says it only kills mosquitoes, but would it affect very similar creatures like a water skimmer? Because I love the water skimmers. I would never put that in these ponds because things balance out. I want the mosquitoes to lay larvae in these ponds because the larvae will become food. They'll never become an actual mosquito. Oh my gosh, the fish, I just realized they're having a good day. It's been so rainy, all the worms are coming out of the ground and they're slipping on into the pond. Oh, there's the big one. One of the big ones. That one's got some mass to it too. It's a thick fish. One thing that I would also love to have, but it would be too destructive in the frog pond. Maybe if I had just a fish pond, I would love to have bullhead catfish. When I was a kid, I had a few of them breed inside a 55-gallon aquarium, but then it quickly became polluted because I think like 30 or 50 eggs hatched, and there was lots of these cute, teeny little bullhead catfish, teeny little things that came out of an egg, but they quickly got to like 6 inches in a month or so. They grow so fast. They polluted the tank so badly that a few of them started getting sick. So we had to release those back into a pond that we got them from. It's nice to have a little fish, I guess, in here. As long as they don't get too overpopulated where they can't survive the winter. But reading up on these fish, they can also, they're very good in low oxygen environments. Now that can mean two things. Underneath the ice, they're not coming up to the surface. But lots of fish can survive in low oxygen. They just come up and take gulps. Like a goldfish in a bowl, it comes up and takes gulps on the surface. That's not good for the fish. If you have aquarium fish, they shouldn't be taking gulps all the time like that. It means you don't have enough aeration from things. Like you need a bigger air compressor or something probably. Well, we're doing good. Not as much nature in here. One thing I've never seen baby salamanders, but they're obviously reproducing. There was a lot more salamanders this year than last year at the pond. Just don't know where they would be, where they're hanging out. I do like this pond the best because it's the most natural looking with the rocks. We found all these rocks when we dug this pipeline off the house. From the pipeline, it started at about 6 feet deep. Now, see, it's like half a foot, quickly goes into the hill a couple feet deep. So yeah, the excavator operator found all these rocks in the hill. I told him, don't put any of them back in the trench. I want them all. So he put them all over here in a pile for me. That was nice. Some much bigger ones. I had to use like a winch to get them up there. And these ones here, just by coincidence, I didn't even put it here like this. You can sit your butt on the rock there and put your feet up on this. You know what I mean? Just sit here in front of the pond. The excavator guy, I think he used like I think it was a 3-ton excavator, pretty small, easy to maneuver without having to rip down trees and stuff, going through the tree line from the house. Didn't have to tear down too much. And it's already kind of grown back in that area, the branches and stuff. He encountered one rock the size of a car underground. He said he just go around it. He didn't even need 45-degree angles. PVC bends a little bit, so he just made the trench have a little curve coming out here to go around it. He said that if I insisted on it going in a straight line, he would have had to bring out a giant excavator, and he said it would have added so much cost to the job, so why do that? What I'm noticing now is fish might be mating. I see some spinning in circles under the water. Maybe. The water's starting to get cloudy. We won't be able to tell what's going on in here pretty soon now that the algae's starting to take off. But frogs and stuff, they like green ponds. They like slimy stuff. They're happy with this. Over here, the mint plant's coming up. Mint is nice because when it starts growing in your lawn, it smells nice when you run it over with the lawnmower. Keep in mind, mint, it does have nice flowers. It's good for pollinators too, but it's invasive. It has runners. It'll take over a whole garden, and it's hard to get rid of. I have it in a flower garden near my house, and I'm slowly trying to rip it out because it takes over, it gets tall, blocks sun of other things, snuffs it out. Over here, this is my black raspberry patch, all starting to grow leaves. If we zoom in over here across the yard, that's a regular raspberry patch, all that stuff. And I have a couple blackberry bushes, but very few. I wish I had more actual blackberries. These are black raspberries. I might trim some of the raspberry bushes to let this stuff flourish. That in there, sitting in the mud, surprised they do so well in the mud, that is daylilies. They have a nice orange flower typically. They do come in many other flowers, but don't make my mistake. If you have tiger lilies or daylilies like this, anything, plants like that, you might go to the store, buy every color because you think it's beautiful. You'll have yellow ones, orange ones, pink ones, blue ones. I don't think that exists, but still, you get what I mean. You plant them all together. The orange ones are always the most dominant ones. Give it a couple years, they'll all become orange. Just happens. It's a more dominant color, I guess. Also in here, coming up, this is water irises. Also have a beautiful flower. They'll be purple. Birch tree, everything's growing out of the mud. This is super swampy. If water plants are able to survive here, water grass survives here. It's very wet. Look at this. Squishy. The water table will recede in the summer about half a foot below the ground though. But still wet enough that aquatic plants can grow here. Very mossy. Looks really nice. The well is over here. Here it is. Already started it up once for the year. Came out very orange. Second time I used it, came out orange again. Let's see if it comes out orange this time. I don't think I have to prime it. I don't think it evaporated out of the back yet. Nope. Here we go. Is it going to be orange again? No, not this time. Still pretty clean looking. Look. It's still pretty clean. And I found this thing on the side of the road a year before I even decided to put this well in. Well, the well was here. I mean the pump. You see this piece of concrete? That's actually a square cap that goes in the middle of this round cover. I just removed it and built this wooden cover. I think it looks nice. It's pressure treated wood. I might stain it, or maybe I'll just leave it like this. That'll take a decade or so to even start rotting. But I don't know what this piece of stainless steel is. I'm sometimes a junk collector. I found it on the side of the road, thought I would use it someday, and I did. It's a good trough. It prevents backwash from falling back into the well, especially if you're washing something here. Yeah, things can get right back in probably. There's probably a joint in the culvert pipe, because that's just an upright culvert pipe to make a well. It's probably a joint like a foot down. Things could seep back in, but it's very minimal. I don't wash hands. I don't keep soap here or anything. I actually fill up watering cans and bring it to the nearby garden. This is very swampy. I have hoses and stuff on the property, yes, but, you know, if you have hand pump wells, you bring the wagon out here, load it up with like 8 watering cans, or just take 2 at a time on foot. There's something therapeutic about pumping your own water, and it's a workout. This thing pumps pretty fast. You can fill that 5-gallon bucket in less than 20 seconds. Right here we got some deer poop. I've noticed a really big uptick in the deer population. Even on my trip into the wilderness the other day, so many deer. Usually see more moose than deer, and they're everywhere now. They're eating a lot of things in the yard I don't like them touching. I might have to put little fences around stuff. This right here is my regular raspberry patch. So what raspberries tend to do, like this, there's many generations of them. You see the ones with the leaves on them? That will have a spring crop, then it'll die. These ones here that you see standing that are all dead, they are done now. They'll start up again from the ground, and that'll basically rot away. So a raspberry plant grows. Year 1, it'll have a crop in the fall, survive the winter, have a crop in the spring, then die. So if you want a spring crop and a fall crop, you have to have, you know, different generations of them growing together. But they typically only grow 2 years. That's at least what I'm noticing. My plants seem to do that. Right, here's our camp, the double trees. You see how they just fell apart in different directions like that? It's very interesting. Different storms, that's why they fell in different directions. Like one of them is severely more rotten than the other. This one here fell. I just cut it. And there's the other end of it. That firewood doesn't look too bad from this angle, but it's very rotten, so I just leave it for things like newts, snakes to live in it. Don't bother with it. Over there's the tank camp. We have some videos camping there, smoking some meat in it. It's a homemade smoker out of a propane tank. When I bought the property as an abandoned property, I asked that company that owned that tank. Apparently they didn't own it. It was most likely bought, but still the company said they wouldn't take it off my property unless I paid them $1,000 or something to pay the back bill, because they obviously didn't pay their last bill or 2 of propane delivery. And I didn't do that. I'm so glad that they didn't take it for free even, because I love that smoker. That's a good idea. Woo! What's that? Who's there? Something's walking in the woods. Is it a coyote? Coyote? There's some kind of creature out there. Maybe it's our friendly bear. Haven't seen him yet. I actually wish the bear wouldn't come around, because that means I have to, once we see him the first time of the year, means no more feeding anything. Because you can feed small animals, but, oh, the flashlight just dimmed. It might be running out. We've been vlogging for a while on higher power. So, yeah. Let's not be so far out in the woods with only this flashlight. Because this flashlight, It does get dimmer and dimmer. Yes, it's a good thing. But unlike some of my other model flashlights, at some point it will just die. It won't just get dimmer and dimmer until there's like a little glowing filament in the middle. It won't do that. It'll just die at some point. So don't want to be stranded with this thing out there. This thing's very hot. Ouch. You can literally make paper smoke by touching the end of this thing. It's a very hot flashlight. That's why it has a cooling fan on the higher voltages, or the higher settings, I should say. I've seen lots of earthworms and stuff. Yeah, but the bear, that's one creature. It's illegal putting food out for it, and you don't want a friendly bear. Friendly bear will break into your house, and then they'll have to shoot it once it starts doing stuff. It's been 2 weeks. My baby grass is starting to come up. You see that? The grass I planted when we built that pond 2 weeks ago. I used the overburden to patch random holes in the yard. This one right here is lumpy. I didn't make it lumpy. It's lumpy. Most likely the skunk has been digging in it looking for bugs. That's who I found to dig holes all the time in my gardens and stuff. It's usually the skunk. I'm doing good. But yeah, the bear will sometimes rip through the trash cans. I only let that happen once. Once it happens, I start putting ammonia, a shot glass worth of it, in every garbage bag. Maybe pour a little in the garbage can itself every time I go out there. Once the bear gets a whiff of that, it'll never touch the trash again. Eventually, we stop seeing the bear. Don't have to do it anymore. If it happens again a month later, obviously I have to start that up again. Why don't I take the trash in the house? Because it stinks. That's why I don't put the trash can inside. But yeah, once you stop putting food out, the bear gets it. Bear's gone within a day or two. Yeah. But I don't like wasting table scraps. I don't like wasting anything. Can't even have a compost pile. The bear will rip through it. This right here, the grass is growing. Once again, it looks like the skunk's been making little holes. Yeah, it's this frog again. I placed these raspberries here. Nothing's ate them yet after the past couple of days. Thought maybe birds would have ate those by now, or the squirrel would have taken them. We relocated a few squirrels early in the season because they were being destructive. Stopped relocating them because I obviously got the squirrel that was doing it. Sometimes this area of woods will flood when the stream gets high. Hasn't happened this year, despite some of the worst flooding in Maine ever has been happening this year. Not exactly in my area. Haven't seen any of these creeks get to where it used to be. Oh, I'm hearing noises in the woods. Something's running around. Oh. Oh, it was not something running around. See the whirlpool? It is sucking in air. It builds up and goes bump. See the big bubble come out? But it actually makes a big thumping sound. Creek is running nice. Only takes a few hours to run clean. It was running dirty a few hours ago because it comes from all the logging roads behind me, which are dirt. So much runoff of the logging roads, it makes the waterways look like coffee for a little bit. You know, you got all that happening. Then I see the logging companies using silt filters in their new drainage ditches. Like, they'll put rocks and stuff to slow the water down so it doesn't erode, but they'll actually put silt filters in a way that's not erosion based. It's to actually clean the water, and I'm like, why? It's a dirt road. You know how much stuff erodes off that itself? I don't know what that's about, but I'll have to show it sometime so people know what I mean. This is kind of cool. What happened is, years ago, a tree blew over in a storm. These birch trees grew on top of the uprooted stump, and then the stump rotted away. So it leaves it up in the air like this, kind of like a spider, the bottom of it. This is a birch tree I had to cut down. Then it started reproducing. It obviously didn't grow enough branches to support that, and the whole thing died. Why'd I cut that one? Had to cut it to release a very dangerous one stuck in it. But yeah, see what I mean? There's the actual tree. See the trunk right there? That tree fell over a long, long time ago. Completely rotted where it was really wet touching the water. But see, tipped over in a storm, leaving the root ball. And this started growing on top of it. Now the root ball will eventually completely rot away, leaving this tree like a spider. Isn't that kind of cool? And right here is a bunch of aquatic grass that'll be growing throughout the woods. Nice little trickling creek. Not much elevation to the house. If this creek ever got to like 5 feet, it would get to the house. But this creek doesn't go far, so I don't know if it would ever do that. Because this creek, you see there's a good amount of water. Walk upstream, 500 feet, doesn't exist anymore. It comes out of nowhere. We also are about to have a lot of ferns. Lots of grass is starting to grow here in the woods. Not a good sign, people told me. It means your yard's starting to turn into a grassland more than woods. But all the evergreen trees seem to be on their way out. I've noticed since a kid, like, things happening with the woods. People might believe me, maybe not. I'm just saying what I see. A lot of the evergreens seem to be weaker now, seem to be dying out. Not as lush as when I was a kid. A lot of pine trees when I was a kid were super duper lush, kind of like these ones. It would be very thick, the woods, very dark. These days, all the evergreens seem to be dying and being replaced by things like birch and maple. Don't know why that is. A lot of bugs seem to be attacking them. A couple of years of drought really takes a toll on the woods. There's not as many of them as when I was little. When I was little, you could have a barrier of evergreen trees. It would be so much privacy. Now they all seem to grow thin for some reason. They might be bugs, invasive bugs. Right here, the ferns are all starting to pop up for the year. That'll be beautiful in like a month. This flashlight, it's actually hurting my eyes just looking at what's shining back at me. Very bright light. Well, I just wanted to show some things. I felt like walking in the woods tonight. And talking to the camera, it feels like I'm actually walking out here with someone else. I like sharing what's going on out in the woods. Yeah, see, these trees, they just keep dropping during storms. And to try to prevent forest fires on a potential dry year, I'm going to eventually clean this up, maybe have some campfires with it. I hope tonight's vlog was interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching and have a great day.